Welcome back. So we've created our first project. Let's see what we actually got, what kind of files. So right now I'm inside WebStorm, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the new project we created because that's not where we're at right now. So I'm going to say open. I'm going to select my customer app. That was the project I just created. Saying OK, and I just want to open it in this window. So I'll just shut down the other project and open it right here. Now, this is the files we created. Just by writing that simple command, you got all of this, right? And let's just run over what we got here. I'm going to skip a few files, but most of them I'll try and explain to you. So first of all, E2E folder, that's end-to-end testing. We don't care about that right now. So let's just skip that one. Node modules right here, that's actually all the third-part modules that we need to build an Angular application right now. And yes, there's a lot. But all of this is kind of, some of it is Angular, pure Angular setup. Like in the Angular folder here, we have a lot of things that Angular provided for us. And a lot of it is actually other third-party libraries that Angular just uses to make an Angular application. It's open source, so that's why we can grab so many other projects and just use it in our Angular application right here. In the source folder, I'll get back to that one. Angular CLI, that's actually a configuration file that kind of shows you what should be the root folder, and that's the source folder for our project. What's the destination folder, the output directory to put our source code when it's compiled, some assets, index file, that's the index HTML file. What's the main file? That's the main TS file. That guy resides inside the source folder as well. So it's kind of, this is a configuration file. And right now, it doesn't matter. We're not going to dive deeply into that right now, but we might get back to this later if we need to change configuration of our Angular CLI setup right here. What else do we have? Editor config, that's more of an editor thing. I don't care about that right now. Git ignore, very important file, because when you put this on GitHub the first time, or Bitbucket, this guy will be added as well, and it starts avoiding putting in stuff that we do not want on our GitHub repository. So the GitHub file is already created for you. Ta-da! You don't have to think about that yourself. So the git ignore file is ready so that we can deploy this whenever we want. Comma, that's testing again. Protractor is also testing. Package.json, very important file. This file is kind of the file that kind of explains some different scripts that we can use. Like if we write ng-serve, you'll start the application. If you write ng-build, you'll build the application. If you write ng-test, you'll test the application, right? Lint, you'll try and run over and get some feedback on if your code is good enough or if you could improve code. So it's kind of a code validation you can do with lint right here. And then end-to-end testing if you want to do that. So these are the scripts you can run. And it's a private guy right here. And then these are all the dependencies we have right now, right? So these are all the dependencies you have to actually execute and run this. And then here's all the dependencies we have to actually develop this application. So notice the dev dependencies is different from the dependencies, where these guys are the ones required to do this in production. These guys are the ones we need, the dev dependencies are the ones we need to actually work and develop our application. So that's why it's different. And we'll get more into that later as well. We have a README file that's just a file where it explains to you how to use this setup. tsconfig file, that's a configuration file. I think the most important thing right now is the target right here, because we're targeting our application to actually end up as ECMAScript 5. There we go, back to the ECMAScript 5 compared to 6 compared to TypeScript, right? So we're being converted into ECMAScript 5. tslint, that's again, it's a set of rules. So it'll try and help you if you put in stuff that it doesn't believe is perfect. It'll try and give you some suggestions on how you could actually change that. And this guy, you might have to change it because some of it you might not like let's see if we can find one here. One line, okay, I can't even find one right now, but for instance, it'll say you should add a bracket here, not here, stuff like that. So it'll try and help you write the code perfectly, and that's very good in teams, because if you're in a team, we want the code to be a standard, a specific way we want to write code, right, as a standard for the team. And that's going to help you do that, because it's going to say, well, maybe that's not a good idea, maybe you should put in a new line right here, like all the other developers are doing. So the tool will actually help you try to figure that out. I'll show you that later on as well. So that's kind of all the stuff around building the Angular application, but where's the source code? Well, that's inside the source folder right here, and here we have a lot of files as well. I think I'll run over them in the next lesson because I don't want this lesson to be too huge. So see you in the next lesson where we'll talk about what's inside the source folder.